Okay, we are now resuming the speech, learning the speech that the Rebbe gave in 1991. And it's talking about this topic that we've been talking about, this mitzvah, this impurity, and which brought us to the main topic of Chabad Hasidut and of Judaism and really of all creation, and that is Moshiach. So we said that Moshiach is going to have to be a king and a teacher. A king and a teacher. He's a king because he'll connect us to things that are totally above our understanding. He'll order us to do things that are against what we think, the opposite of what we think is logical. And he'll command us to do these things. And on the other hand, he'll explain as much as he can to us so that we'll internalize it. We'll actually want logically with our personalities to do what God wants. So on one hand, he'll negate our personalities. He's a king, and we're just his servants. And on the other hand, we ourselves will desire and enjoy and be happy and realize that the importance and the goodness and the sweetness of serving the Creator, doing what God wants. That's what's called bringing the highest lights of God into the physical world, so that the world will be a happy world. Okay, this we can attach to the month of IYAR. Now, just to remind us, this speech that the Rebbe gave was after Passover, because then it goes according to the Torah portions. The Torah portions that they read then don't always go according to the same date and the same month as we have now. There's sometimes when they read the double portions together, sometimes when there's an extra month, there's some years where there's an extra month. So therefore they draw the Torah laning and spread out over 13 months instead of 12 months. So therefore it doesn't come out exactly the same as here. Okay, so now therefore the Rebbe spoke about 4 Torah portions that come one after the other. And by us, we're just in the first one of those. And the Rebbe is talking about all 4, which was Tazria Metzora, which the Rebbe explained, that's exile and redemption. Metzora is the Moshiach. And then Acharei Mot, he said Kadoshim. That's talking about drawing the essence of God into the world. Now the Rebbe says we can connect this also to the month of IYAR. The month of IYAR is the month right after Nisan, the month after the Passover. The month of IYAR is a special month because in some ways it's the holiest month of the year. How is that? How is it the holiest month of the year? It hasn't got any holidays particularly. It says because every day we make a blessing on counting the Omer. IYAR. Every day there's the Omer, there's a blessing, a commandment, 50-day commandment. Every day you count one day. It's a commandment to count the day. You make a blessing on that day. 49 days you count. And the 50th day is the holiday of Shavuot. So in the month of IYAR is all 30 days you're counting. So every day is counted. It's a commandment. Okay, so here we go. So let's connect this with the month of IYAR. The month of Nisan, we sort of know. That was the month that God did all these miracles. Nisan is Nes. And Nisan, Nun, is 2 miracles. Nisim, it says. Double miracles. It's hinting at the future redemption. Nisan, that's the month of God took us out of Egypt. Okay, what about the month of IYAR? The month of IYAR is not so holy. We'll see that it is. Here we go. Chodesh IYAR is the second month of the year. Nisan is the first month. IYAR is the second. Shabon Naseh Avoda, and this we're doing service from below to above. In the month of Nisan, God did everything. He took us out of Egypt. He did all these miracles, split the sea. Right, that was in the 7 days after they left Egypt. He split the sea. That's already in the month of Nisan. Brought man from heaven. But the man from heaven actually brought later. But He split the sea, took the Jews out of Egypt, 10 plagues. All these things were going out of Egypt. That's the month of Nisan. But after he preceded from above to below. In the month of Nisan, God did everything. He took us out of Egypt. Now the month of IYAR shows that we have to do the work. That's why God created us, that we should do it. There was miracles done to the Jewish people. Nisan, miracles were done, ad nisim, that they were done super miracles, double miracles, miraculous miracles. The God himself, the King of the kings of kings, HaKodesh Baruch Hu, God personally redeemed the Jews from Egypt. Chodesh Shel Geula, the redemption of Geula, until the Geula, until the redemption from everything that limited them. The Jewish people, all of a sudden, they were free. They were out. There was no Egyptians. There was no taskmasters. There was no pyramids to build or whatever they did over there. Nobody was beating them. No one was forcing them. Free. And not only that, they were with God. They got bread from heaven. They got water from a rock. Miracles. They were eating miracles, drinking miracles. They were surrounded by clouds of glory. They didn't need an army. They didn't need any protection. God was protecting them. That's life. That's ideal life, right? Wrong. Said that is not life. That's preparation for life. Real life is doing it on your own. Yesh Lomar, we can say that in the month Nisan and IYAR is stressed the attachment, the sheikhs, and the relationship between the two of them. The revelations, the highest revelations possible in the month of Nisan, and they're drawn down and they're revealed into vessels, namely by means of the work of a person from below to above. Akoach, the power to join them together. It's something like, a child is born into a rich family, right? And so he gets everything for free. So he doesn't appreciate anything. His car gets wrecked up, big deal, right? Big deal, gets wrecked up, right? He makes a party, gives to each one of his friends $10 million. They used to be this way with a lot of these professional boxers and other people that win the what's it called, the lottery. So they win like $100 million, something. All of a sudden, they've got all these friends and relatives they never even knew they had before. And investors are coming to, I got a good deal for you, and invest by the Brooklyn Bridge, by the Twin Towers, where, and they don't know what to do with the money. They lose it all, which is not the case. A person that's a hardworking man, and he works all the time, and has the whole thing prepared, what he's going to do with the money, how he's going to give it away, how he's going to give charity, etc. Logically, it has to work from below. That's called making vessels. Making vessels means that you have to use the riches that you have in an orderly, proper, constructive way, and not a destructive way. So that's the month of Nisan. God gave us the riches. He gave us riches, simply gave us riches. He took us out of Egypt. We took all the money that they had from Egypt. We deserved it. We worked there for 210 years at hard labor. We didn't get paid a penny. So we took the money, but also we got riches, spiritual riches. Right? God himself personally revealed himself to us at Mount Sinai. Riches. The month of IYAR is making vessels. So it says the ability to join these two things together, who mitzad darga hachi nailis, is the highest level. It has to be something, third thing, which is higher than both of them. Kamudgash, which is stressed at the sphera of the month of second day of IYAR. Beit IYAR. That's the first day of the days of the months of IYAR. After Rosh Chodesh, it says Tiferet Shebet Tiferet. The second day of IYAR, that's the day when also the fourth Rebbe of Chabad was born, and we're counting the Sefirot Omer. That's Tiferet of Tiferet. I'll explain this in a second. She'al Yada, that by means of it, Nasa is joined together these two things of Ratzoi and Shov, going to God and coming back into the world. Or if you want to say receiving godliness and utilizing godliness in the world. Okay, let me explain this Tiferet Shabbat Tiferet in this whole business. We count 49 days, right? There are 49 aspects of human personality and of God's personality. 40. How do we get 49? There's 7 what we call emotional qualities of God: love, awe, power, love, balance, chesed, gevura, tiferet, netzach, hod, yesod, and malchut. 7 aspects of God's what's called personality, his emotions. Each one of those 7 also has 7 aspects to it. So there you had 7 times 7, that's 49. In order that we can link ourselves with the Creator, so we have to look at our personality from all of these 49 aspects and try to see what's wrong and to connect with the Creator, realize who we are. We're creations, and connect with the Creator. And every day is another one of these spheres. So we count the first week, for instance, we count the 7 aspects of Chesed. The second week, we count the 7 aspects of Gevura. The third week, we have the 7 aspects of Tiferet. So the second day of the third week, and the third day of the third week, is Tiferet of Tiferet. There's Chesed of Tiferet, Gevura of Tiferet, and Tiferet of Tiferet. That's the third day of the third week. And that's this aspect we're supposed to be looking at. Tiferet. Now, Tiferet means balance. Balance comes from usually purpose. You have a goal. You have a goal that gives you Tiferet. That balances everything out. Like driving a bicycle. If you know where you're going, so it's less probable you're going to fall down. If you don't, if your whole goal is just not to fall down, there are people that know how to do it. They can just stand in one place. But that's Tiferet. Tiferet is that you have a goal, and that goal is 100% true. That's Tiferet Shabbat Tiferet, and that is beauty. That means everything is balanced. So that's this aspect of the second day of IYAR is Tiferet of Tiferet. Sha'al Yada, that by means of it, Naaseh is made, Chibur, joining these 2 things of Ratzai and Shu. It's the beginning of the third week that we're counting the Spirit of Omer, and that's Tiferet of Tiferet. That's when the 4th Rebbe of Chabad was born, but he didn't talk about that yet. But nevertheless, that aspect of Tiferet of Tiferet, that comes from above all opposites. It balances all opposites. Like we said, that's the purpose. That's why we're here in the world. That's what balances everything. And that unites all these 2 opposites of receiving from God and giving to the world, going closer to God and coming closer to the world. This unites them both. Even since that the revelations of the month of Nisan, that's the month of redemption, they're drawn down and revealed below by means of our service. So therefore, this will negate any possibility of exile. There will be a redemption, a eternal redemption that won't be any exile. Something like the raising of the dead. Because after the raising of the dead, there won't be any sickness, there won't be any more death. How the world get along without that? So the answer is that that's the way it was supposed to be in the beginning. It was supposed to be that there was no death, that people would be human beings. They would just be good. Every moment would be another opportunity to do good. We'd see what a human being really is. And that's not what it really is now. This is the real aspect of what a human being is that connects to God and connects to the world. How do you do that? You have to feel the true purpose of why we're here in the world. That's this thing of Tiferet. Tiferet is the true purpose why we're in the world. When we feel the true purpose why we're in the world, then eventually, it's going to be that there won't be any more exile, there won't be confusion, there won't be any murder, and there won't be depression, there won't be aggression, there won't be all these things. Od Zod, even more. IYAR, the month of IYAR, is the first letters Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Rachel. Those are the 4 feet of the chariot. The Inyan Bezeh is Shegimel Avot, the 3 fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They correspond what's called the 3 feet. The 3 legs of the Merkava of God's chariot, of God's throne, and that's Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet. IYAR. What do we say? IYAR is the month that we start to work from below to above. We unite the Creator with the creation. We show the purpose of creation. Who are the first ones to do this? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. and Rachel. Rachel, she gave birth to Joseph. So he saved the whole world. Joseph saved the whole. So Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Now, Judaism has what's called the three forefathers, three fathers of Judaism, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And if you look in the Bible, you'll see that they didn't really do anything. They didn't do anything. They didn't really found a religion. Doesn't mention that they had any real followers. They didn't write any books that we read, meditations, and they didn't have any the holidays that they made or rituals. Abraham, so why do you have to have three of them? The three that did nothing. Have one that did nothing. You have to do nothing. Three times nothing is nothing. What do you have to have Abraham? It says, because what did Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob do? Why are they called the fathers of Judaism? What is Judaism? In general, what is Judaism? Judaism is total surrender to the Creator with the realization that in doing so, surrendering to the Creator will make this world a good place. So no matter what God tells you to do, the most ridiculous things, take your son and kill him, circumcise yourself. What type of a thing is that? God, that's all he's got to do. God tells people, make a battle, go and discover these hidden treasures, right? Fly, conquer the Uranus and Neptune and Pluto or something like that. No, God speaks to Abraham, I am the creator of the universe, I create everything. Circumcise yourself. Abraham would say, come on. I mean, that's what you're interested in. That's what you're thinking about. Come on, God. No, Abraham said, oh, no problem. Sure, of course. Because, and God said, none of that. When you do that, you're going to have a son. You're going to have a son. Oh, he did. He did. And God gave birth to Isaac. This is it. This is my command. God said, okay, Isaac is now 37 years old. Kill him. Okay, God, 100%, I'll do it. Why? What type of a purpose is that? What does it mean to us? It means that if you do what God wants, it'll come out okay. If you do what God wants, it'll come out okay. And Abraham asked God questions also. He said, I don't have any children. What's the purpose of all this work? Who's going to carry it out? So Abraham also argued with God. God wanted to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. God said, don't do it. Maybe there's 50 people. Maybe there's... So it ended up that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they gave us the attitude. What's the attitude? The attitude is whatever God says is right. God wants us sometimes to argue with him. And we can also change God's opinion. We can change God's mind. We can change God's mind. Moses did it. God wanted to destroy the Jewish people. Moses said, don't do it. Right? Abraham tried to do it with Sodom and Gomorrah. Tried to do it. Change God's mind. Says Abraham and his wife and Yitzchak and his wife, they prayed for children. Eventually, God answered their prayers. Says that God answered his prayers. So that's the idea of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God wants us to be his partners to make this physical world a good place. And that's the whole idea of the month of IYAR. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Rachel. Now, Rachel had a terrible life. Her whole life, she was just, right? And she was not, she died young, and she didn't have any children. She prayed and then when she did, her second child, she died. And Joseph was taken into prison. And that's the 4 feet of the Merkava. The Inyan Bezez means like this. That's Shegimel Avos, the 3 forefathers, which that corresponds to the 4 feet of the chariot. Chesed, Gavur, Tiferet. They are the level of lights of godliness. Rachel, that she's the 4th leg of the chariot. That's Malchut. That's the vessels. In general, that's the idea of male and female. Male is the giving aspect, and feminine is the receiving aspect. And the main thing is the receiving aspect, the world. Yeshlom, we can say, Shechiburim, that joining them together in the letters Rosh and IYAR, this indicates on drawing down and revealing these highest lights of godliness into the physical world, into vessels. Yeshlo, see if we can add on that Rachel, this indicates on the Rachel, especially, that's what we do, the vessels, that's our deeds and our service all the time of this exile. Because that's what's going to bring Moshiach. That's what brings the Moshiach. It's in the Torah, in the Tanya, in the chapter 37, like it says, Rachel mevakeh et boneha. that Rachel cries for her children. It's a sentence in Jeremiah. Rachel cries for her children. Ki enenu, because they are not. What does it mean? That he is not. It says Rachel cries for her children because he is not. It should say they are not. It doesn't say, but that's not what it says. It says he is not. God, because God is also in exile. And God, the Galuta in the time of exile, Solak, he's not found in the world. La'ela. He's higher and higher. So to speak, God lets terrible things happen to the Jews. That's what it seems. I mean, the terrible things, that's not just, it seems. Al Yudei, by means of Pulatasha Rachel, by means of Rachel, namely our service and our work in this world, Bismana Galus in the time of exile, that's what it means that Rachel cries, because God is not here, as Ba'agula comes the redemption. That's what it says. That's what God said. There is a reward for your deeds. God says to V'shamvu banim legulam, that all of the Jews will come back to their boundaries, to the world, to the Holy Land. In these highlights, which, by the way, I mean, this is what they should say in the United Nations. The United Nations. The Palestinians, they should listen, my friend, God spoke to Rachel. And God said to Rachel, don't worry about it. All of your children, the Jewish people are all, that's the sons of Rachel, right? Sons of Rachel. Rachel was the wife of Yaakov, right? Not the wife of Yishmael or the wife of Esav, whatever. So all of the children are going to come back to their boundaries. What's the boundaries? The Holy Land. It's going to be a lot bigger then, but that's God promised to Abraham a much bigger area than where we live now in Israel. He promised what's called the 10 lands, and we only got 7. And Moshiach is going to bring the last 3. We'll see. Also, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I know it's a little bit tight now, but it's going to be good. But also, Yoni tremendously highlights Shahayu that were removed, the Ela, higher and higher. In other words, that God was sort of unapproachable. Now, in the time of exile, that's real exile. They will be revealed below. That's what it says. Shavu banim. Your children will come back to their boundaries, to Israel. By means of this, there will be negated even the possibility. There won't be any nurture to the foreign external forces. Like it says, Nelma. Like it says that Rachel, now the Jewish people are like Rachel. Rachel also means a sheep. Like a sheep in front of the shearers is quiet. You ever see that happen? It's a pasuk in Isaiah. It says nowadays the Jewish people are like a sheep that are being sheared. The word Rachel is the mother of the Jewish people, but Rachel also means a sheep. So now we're like a sheep. You ever see these pictures? They have these contests sometimes of sheep shearing. I saw it in Australia, whatever. And when they grab onto a sheep, it doesn't fight and it doesn't struggle. The sheep is just quiet. Nelma is just quiet. Says that's what the Jewish people are now in the time of exile. They're just quiet, and the whole world is shearing us. Is shearing us, right? The Jews win all these Nobel prizes and all this stuff, and in the end, they're just shearing us. They hate us. They're trying to grab onto us. That the Jews can actually become the ultimate defilement in the time of exile. There will be a redemption that there's not after it any exile. There won't even be a possibility for anything else. So there won't be any more United Nations which, just to remind everybody, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said time and time again that the United Nations is 70 wolves against 1 sheep. And he told Netanyahu that he should get a little bit of sense in his head. Netanyahu, that it's a house of darkness and lies. And now we see it, right? They're all coming against us. And amazingly, the Israeli delegation is trying to convince these people to be nice guys, and they're the sinners. Right? It's like trying to convince Himmler or something like that, to donate money to the synagogue. Well, all right. Yud Aleph. So it says that's the whole idea of we're in exile. Now that we're in exile is because we don't see this godliness. The month of IYAR is showing us how to reveal it. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, connect yourself with the essence, holiness of God. That was the month, like the month of Nisan, and draw it into the world. That's Rachel. That's the fourth foot of the draw it into the world by doing good deeds, by doing learning the Torah, Jewish identity. Yes, we can also add on lekasher to attach this. Why not? We'll try. Come, let's go. Yes, we can add this also with the special day of the Spirit of Omer, which is called Malchut Shebetiferet. That's the last day of the third week. The last day of the third week of the counting of the Omer is Malchut of Tiferet. Tiferet, we said, is beauty, balance, connecting to the essence of God. And Malchut is kingship. That's the lowest aspect. In other words, drawing the highest aspect of God to the lowest aspect of the world. In Spirit of Omer, when we do this thing of counting the Omer, and I mean, we're talking about this like about 2 weeks early. But there's a saying by the Hasidim that the Hasidim counted the Omer the whole year, because you're always working on yourself, right? Of course, you don't make a blessing on the day, but on Spirit of Omer, from what's the beginning, which is Chesed of Chesed, that's the first day. And Malchut Sheba Malchut, that's the last of the 7 weeks. That's the first day of the 7 weeks. And there's the last day of the 7 weeks, Malchut of Malchut, is included all of the aspects of serving God. Ma'aseinu v'avodotenu, all of our service. Now, serving God doesn't mean just doing the commandments. That's Malchut. That's the lowest aspect. You do what you're supposed to do. You say what you're supposed to say. That's very important. That's very important. In a way, that's the main thing, to do what. But alone, that's called a body without a soul. Okay, a body without a soul is maybe better than a soul without a body. But nevertheless, a body without a soul means you do what you're supposed to, but you're not interested in it. You just do it. It's called religion. You do what you're supposed to, and you hope, you're going to get a reward. But the whole service of God is not supposed to be just with doing and saying. It's supposed to be with your whole soul, with your whole personality, all the aspects of your soul, how you react to the world, how you act in the world, your potentials, your talents, your sensitivities, your character. Everything is supposed to be involved in serving the Creator, because everything we have is being given to us by the Creator. Okay, so all of these aspects, therefore, they become alive when you connect them to the Creator. As hand, if not, then they become alive only when things go the way you want. And then also it's a little bit questionable, right? If you really want to be dynamic and positive, then connecting to God, it's a constant thing, and it enables you to overcome obstacles. And sometimes the main obstacle is yourself. Whether regarding the soul of man, the taken, to fix up our souls, that's what we say in the counting of the Omer. There's a whole little paragraph we say. And to refine us, to purify us, and to make us holy. Whether we're talking about the whole, or whether we're doing it to ourselves, refining ourselves, or refining the whole world. It says, Yishpa Shefa Rabba Kol Olamos. It says, by means of counting the Omer, that we actually bring a tremendous flow of God into all the worlds. By means of this comes the Geula Amiti, that will come the total redemption of the Jewish people in the whole world. There won't be any more exile afterward. That's what we say in the end of this paragraph of the Spirit of Omer. May God return the service of the Holy Temple to its place quickly in our days. Amen. Salah. There's a special in this year that the first day of Passover falls on Shabbat. By us, it doesn't work that way. By us, but the first day of Passover falls on Monday night. Okay, one second. Let's go over here. Okay, and it's like this. Okay, so there's especially this year when Pesach comes after Shabbat, which that's the way, counting the Omer starts the day after Shabbat. in the Torah, it says that you have to count the Omer the day after Shabbat. And the Tzedukim, that's what they did. They counted the day after Shabbat. The Saturday, they counted the day after Shabbat. But in fact, that's not what it means. That's what it says in the Torah, but that's not what it means. The Torah, like we said before in our first class, we learned the Torah was given to be interpreted by genuine rabbis. So it says that Shabbat, in this case, means Passover. So Sfirat Omer, counting the Omer, does not begin after the first Saturday after Passover. It begins after the day of Passover itself. But ideally, if Passover falls on Shabbat, then it comes out to be according to everybody. Then you start counting Sfirat Omer the day after Passover, and because Passover was on Shabbat, so the day after Shabbat comes after. Okay, but that's not this year. It doesn't work that way this year. This year, Passover is not on Shabbat, and we start counting the Omer not the day after Shabbat, but the day after Tuesday. Okay, but the the whole idea of the future redemption is the day after Shabbat. That's because Shabbat is Malchut, kingship. There's the 7 days of the week. The first day is Chesed. The last day is Malchut. Malchut, that indicates the day of Shabbat. That's Malchut Beit David, the kingship of King David. When he was, by means of the Moshiach. Moshiach is going to be Moshiach ben David. Sha'al Yadod, by means of him will be revealed the kingship of God in the whole world. There'll be a person that actually shows that, just like the Holy Temple showed that it's possible to reveal God in the world, there'll be a person that's going to show that it's possible to reveal God in every person also. That's going to be the Moshiach. Then God will be the king of the world. God will rule over everything. That's the idea of Malchut. The idea of Malchut, kingship. And when the Rebbe was saying this, this was the last day of the third week, which is Malchut of Tiferet. So Malchut is kingship. That's the true example of kingship. God's kingship is the Mashiach, Melech HaMashiach. This will show on the power and the power, the dynamic power of the future redemption. That there won't be any sort of difficulties whatsoever. Like it says, Alma Malka Akatora, says a king uproot a mountain. I feel even a mountain, the power of Menagid will be uprooted to another place by means of the king. That's the idea of a king. But let's just take a simple example right now. The Mashiach comes, right? So all the United Nations says, okay, Israel has to stop the war. Mashiach says, you have to stop the United Nations. We're not stopping any war. We're evicting all of our enemies from, not just from Gaza, from the whole of Israel. Anyone that doesn't agree with the Torah can't live in Israel. That's it. That's the way it is. I'm not explaining that's what they do in Saudi Arabia. No explanations. That's the law. Everybody says, what type of a thing is this? Where do we get a person like that? He says, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it is. God is the ruler of the world, not me, not you. And I'm doing what God says. He says, that's the whole idea of a king. A king speaks, he uproots mountains. The Rebbe said a lot of times that America has tried to force Israel. This is an old story. America forces Israel to stop fighting against enemies because America values someone who has courage, someone who has defiance. America values that. And they're just pressuring us so that we will show our defiance. And that's according to logic, according to... But the fact is that that's according to the Torah. That's why the Mashiach is going to be a king. And he's going to represent God's kingship in a deeper way, even since that the life and the existence of all of the people of every country and everything that's in the country depends on the king. So it's understood, the truth of the matter is that it's not relevant any existence that could possibly go against the king. Because Israel is so, spineless and identityless, so everybody says, oh, They don't want to say that the chosen people. We're the chosen people. They don't want to say they represent the king. We're the king. They don't want to say the land of Israel belongs to them. It belongs to us. But the fact of the matter is that God is the king, and the Moshiach is going to be the representative of that, and he's going to show what a real king is. And then suddenly all the nations will rise. That's in the second Psalm. Look in the book of Psalms, second Psalm. Lama Rag Shu Goyim. Why they're all the Viegu Rik, all the Goyim are yelling and they're screaming, the nations, we're going to get you, we're going to this, you're going to this. We have atomic bombs and nuclear bombs and fission bombs and big bombs, tick bombs, we got bombs, you can't believe it. We can say, listen, we've got the king of the universe. And your bombs work only because he says that they work. Right? And what do the Israelis say? Oh, we can't say a thing like that. Oh, no, they're going to be angry. There's a terrible joke. I'll tell this terrible joke. I didn't want to do this. I wanted to just continue, but the terrible joke is that the Nazis find Jews hidden in some barn or something like that, and they take them out to shoot them. And one Jew is religious, the other one's not religious. So the Nazis say, we're going to count to 5, we're going to kill you. 1, 2, and the religious Jew screams out, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And the non-religious Jew says, will you be quiet? You want to get us into trouble? In other words, he's always worried. Terrible joke, but I actually thought it was not bad. I heard it from Manus Friedman about 40 years ago. The Jews are so afraid, they're afraid of their own shadow, you understand? It says, because that's the idea of the Moshiach. He's a real king, and he'll defy the world because there's nothing except for him. He's the representative of the king. You can't go against the king. Everything depends on the king. Shari, you call him, it's the whole existence of any opposition. This depends on the king. It comes from the king. Similarly, it is in the future redemption, that the whole idea of the kingship, this is stressed that really the fact of the matter is that there's really no world. There is no exile, and the world cannot oppose God. Why? Because the whole existence of the world depends totally on the redemption, on the revelation of the creator in the world. Like it says in the Gemara, Lo Ivri Alma, the world was only created only for the Moshiach. That's what it says in the Talmud. Where does it say in the Talmud? Where does it say it? Baba Batra. And the Gedorah of Baba Batra. Good. Therefore, Nigud Olam, therefore, that the world appears to oppose us, the exile, this is just only external. It's just, how do you say, a mirage. And Bitulo, it all depends on the true, what really the world is really coming from. It's coming from God's kingship. And this is going to benefit the whole world. Bisgalus Malchus, when the kingship is revealed, there's many, many different ways. The kingship according to the way it is in the emotions of God, the kingship of Chesed, Malchut of Gevura, Malchut of Tifuret, that we count on the last day of each week of the counting of the Omer, and Malchut of Malchut. And according to what we said before, what Rebbe said, that the straight way, remember we talked about in Pirkei Avot, that the straight way to reveal the Mashiach is Tiferet. Tiferet, like we said before, that's the Torah. We said learning Torah. Therefore, it's understood the great goodness, the thing of Malchut of Tiferet. Malchut means the kingship of the Torah. Tiferet, we said, was the Torah. And main thing is, she'en sorich lahamtim, we don't have to wait and count all these weeks of Sfirat Omer, because by means of the Malchut of Tiferet, which that's like in the middle of the counting of the Omer, with that we said that's a straight way and the clear way to bring Mashiach, that it goes from the top of levels to all the bottom levels, is drawn down and revealed also all of the details of the kingship, which is afterwards. Like we said, Malchut Shabanetzach, Nitzachon, the victory of the king. He's victorious over all the things of the world. Malchut of Hod, the beauty of the king. It says, Melech b'yofi yachazeh einecha. The beauty of the king we will see. Malchut of Yesod, this power, Yesod, in a way that we're attached to God in an eternal way. King, the Malchut of Malchut, namely the kingship, like we say, Malchut Malchut Kolamim, the kingship of God is the kingship of all the worlds. So again, what was the Rebbe saying? God is creating the world, and God is creating the world for a purpose, and that purpose is good. And we can see the beauty and appreciate the splendor and the kindness and the love of God and everything that there is. And we can feel this purpose. That's the whole idea of the Moshiach. Mashiach is going to reveal the kingship of God. Malchutcha, your kingship, the kingship of Ein Sof, will be reflected in every little detail of the world. That's connected to what's called the God's crown, and the inside of the crown. A king has a crown. King is the lowest level, and the crown is the highest level. That's Keter Elyon. Shenim Shechet, that's drawn down and revealed into Malchut Kolamim and all of the worlds. Bal Korcha, that's the idea of Malchut Shebechesed. That's the idea of bringing the King Mashiach through counting the Omer and refining ourselves through the Torah. So God is the creator. God knows what he's doing. God is infinitely good. He just wants to be revealed, and that depends on us. And it's not hard to do. We have a million hints, and we have the King Mashiach. We have the Rebbe himself that's trying to awaken us that we should become vessels for this amazing wealth and how do you say, riches that God wants to give us, namely the revelation of the essence of the Creator in the creation. As we'll talk about more tomorrow. Today is Thursday, so tomorrow we, God willing, will finish this, huh? We're going to do it? Yeah, sure, we can finish this. Maybe we'll have to do a little bit. Find something else. Okay. Anyway, be with us tomorrow. We'll see what we do. Now, the Yom Yom.